Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces and some new ones as well. My name is Marion. I'm the head of strategy, and I have a confession to make. 13 years in marketing, and I too have been guilty of creating a very, very average messaging for very hypothetical persona that would define my target audience. We would sit in a room and put a stock photo, give them a name, some random hobbies. So back in my days at TomTom, I need to click? Okay, there we go. You see, back in my days at TomTom, there was David. David was driving a Volvo. He was 42 years old, he had 2 kids and a garage, and he valued efficiency. The thing is, David really never helped us understand why our checkout flow was broken on the website. Then I moved on to Booking.com, and you would think that maybe I learned my lesson, but no. Here came Karen. Karen was a young urban professional. She loved yoga, frappuccinos, and she was a sunset lover. The thing is, Karen really never helped us send more sunset holidays. And as you can imagine, writing messaging for David and for Karen, it was not easy, because I did not understand what really drove them, what was really resonating with them. So today, I'm here to make it up for the David and the Karen of this world, and I want to start by asking you one question. So you will see on your chair, you have a green and an orange card, and I would love you to grab them. And I want to ask you, how well do you really know your buyers? How well do you really know your target audience? So raise the orange cards if you know who they are. And by who they are, I would mean, their demographic, maybe their age, where they live, their job function if you work in B2B. Or raise the green cards if you know how they decide. And by this, I mean, what is actually making them hesitate? What gives them confidence? What is actually the big fear that they have before they commit to your product? So show me, guys. I'm curious. Is it green? Is it orange? Okay, we have a good mix. More orange, but a good mix. Oh, and a lot of dual personalities. You know them, but you don't know them. You're not quite sure. Okay. So this difference between the orange and the green is really important. This is the difference between knowing your audience and understanding them. And this gap, a lot of us marketeers and brands, we have been facing it. And we have been stuck because of what I call the average trap. The average trap has 4 sub-traps. The first trap that we are victim of is to be data-rich but insight poor. So I think you will relate. We all have a lot of data. You have your analytics data, you have your CRM, you have your sales data, you have a lot. But what you most likely don't have are insights about what is actually moving and driving your persona. The second trap that a lot of us are falling into is the way we define the persona, the average audience definition. Because by default, by essence, they represent this average of the population, they represent everyone and no one. And the messaging we do for them is the same. It talks to no one, and it talks to all of them. The third trap that we are usually a victim of at some point as a marketeer, and most likely you will relate to this one, you launch a campaign and you want to have one objective. But in reality, you want to create awareness and maybe drive consideration for your products, and oh well, there's a really important sales promo going on, so let's push for sales. So you end up with a lot of CTAs, a lot of information at the same time. And by trying to do everything, you end up doing nothing. Lastly, the last trap that we have is this very dreadful approval flow. And I'm sure you've all been there. So you have a good creative idea, and you pitch it to your boss. And maybe your marketing director, your CMO likes it, but says, hey, I like it, but let's do a few tweaks here and there. Okay, great. Now the CMO likes it. Then you need to get the buy-in from the other teams, right? Because you need to work for the other functions. And they also like it, but they have some feedback. How about you change this here, and you tweak this there? Great, you are finally in a place where everyone agrees this is the messaging we are going from. But, you need to go to legal. Oh, legal, the legal approval flow. They start with the red pen, they change the word, they scratch this, you cannot claim that, you cannot be the best, you cannot be number one. So at the end of the legal process, your messaging is usually very plain, very, very insipid. And see, That's a bit of an issue because with those 4 traps, we have an audience problem that then becomes a message problem, a messaging problem. And you may tell me, okay, well, is this really so important? And I want to tell you, yes. Your messaging might be, at the moment, your biggest competitive liability. And that might come as a surprise. It's not most likely your product. Your product may be just as good as your competitors. It's not your budget, because big budget, small budget, you can really make them work for you if you spend them where it matters. And it's not your team for sure, because your team is good. I know that. So this kind of vicious circle of an audience problem, not really knowing them and understanding, so then not being really able to write a good messaging, then often becomes a business problem. And I want to share with you today a solution that I like and that I think you could explore. I don't know if any one of you has heard before of synthetic persona, but a synthetic persona is essentially a different way of looking at your audience. It's a different angle. So it's not so much the angle of who they are, but much more how they decide. And the way this works is that you aggregate hundreds of data signals with the help of AI to then create patterns. And those patterns are giving you insights as to who they are at the moment of the decision. And just like this, you are able to actually write a messaging that is touching the right nerve, that is resonating with them. Make sense? Cool, so that's a great idea, but how do we actually build it? You can build a synthetic persona fairly simply if you follow 3 steps. Step 1, you gather the data. Step 2, you input all your different data signals into your AI tool of choice. It can be ChatGPT, can be Claude, can be Copilot, doesn't really matter, so that AI can find pattern. And step 3, you build your decision portrait. So I'm going to unpack this a little bit because there's a lot of information in there. Step 1, you want to get the right signals. You have a lot of channels as a digital marketer and a lot of data points that maybe you have not so much used in the past. And the first place to start are your social media channels and all the comments that are sitting on your social media. So think the comments on your YouTube, on your Instagram, on your LinkedIn, like there are so many of them. You just want to go and extract them because that can give you a lot of information about your audience in terms of aspiration, in terms of validation, in terms of things that did not quite feel right for them. That's the first data source that you can explore. The second one, that is a really good one usually, are your customer reviews. And you may think that 1 star and 5 stars are the most interesting, but actually the 3 stars one are really good because they are just a bit iffy, right? They sit in the middle. There was a bit of friction. It was good, but not so great. So you can learn a lot from that. Third data points that you can actually explore are your customer service tickets. So when something went wrong and they had to talk to your support team, what happened? What was the complaint? What was the one thing that was not working? And lastly, this one is an obvious one, look at your return and cancellation, because it will really show you the gap between the expectations and then the reality when they actually receive their product. Those 4 data sources, they are just a start. You have many more touch points, many more sources that you can get into, but I wanted to keep it simple, so start with those. Once you get all those little signals, you go and put them in your tool, in your AI tool. And the way you actually prompt the AI here is really important. So you do not want to manipulate your data. You do not want to aggregate them. You really want to put them raw, like the exact words, the exact verbatim that people have been using. And you ask your AI tool, based on what you read and only of what you read, find me 3 families of pattern. The first family of pattern is the trigger pattern. So what is actually pushing them to search? What is the need? Like, what are they actually looking for? The second family of pattern is the confidence pattern. So what is giving them the reassurance that actually they need the product and that they are making the right choice? And the third family of pattern, and this one is a really important one, is the fear pattern. What are the things that are blocking them, that are making them hesitate, that are actually making them feel, I'm not sure. I have this need, but is this product actually the right fit for myself? Once you got this, you move into step 3, where you actually build your decision portrait. So the decision portrait is really who is your user at the moment of decisions. And there are different moments across the journey. So the first layer is your trigger layer, as we were saying, who they are when they're embarking on the search. The second layer is the confidence layer, so who they are when their intent is actually really turning into strong interest, when they are sure that they want to buy. And the last one is this fear layer, so who they are one hesitation away from the click. What are the crippling doubts that are actually in their head? Okay? So once you have the portrait, you actually have done most of the job, and then the fun begins. You just move to the messaging. And the messaging is really the creative expression. It's the moment when you can really show your music, as Dominique was saying, where you can really go and try. So step one, with the trigger layer, what you really want to do is to hook them. You know, everyone is bombarded with information. There are so many things to look at around. So your job here is to grab their attention. What is the one thing that makes them stop the scroll? What is the one line that they need to hear? Step two, move them. So for the confidence layer, you need to have arguments, not like, just generic USPs like that you have written on your website and that you just tick every here and there. But really, what are the specific things that are going to be convincing for them? And last step, you're almost there. You just have to tackle the fear layer. Your goal for this last piece of messaging is to close them, to win them. What is the last final argument that are going to make them feel like, okay, that's it. I'm doing the right decision. Cool. So I want to ask you a question, actually. Do you know who is the brand that is on the screen? And if you know who they are, green. If you have no idea, orange. Okay, green all around. This is Oatly. This is an oat milk drink. And okay, Dilo said I made it easy because the packaging is on the billboards. But they are, in my view, one of the brands that really, really nailed their messaging and understands their audience, the mindset, where they are, and why they want to consume their product. And they have done several really cool campaigns with big provocative tagline on billboards. And this one is one of them. And it was called, "Hey, food industry, show us your number." As you know, the dairy industry is very opaque, and the lobbying is crazy. And they really came as a disruptor in this category, as someone doing something different and new. So let's do the exercise. If Oatly wanted to have built a synthetic persona and have written messaging for this campaign, what it could have been. So let's start with the decision portraits. The trigger layer for this audience is an audience that is trying to eat sustainable food. They want to make sure that they do right choices, that they're actually having a positive impact, or at least not a negative one, on the environment. So their trigger is, I want to eat more sustainable, but I don't know how. Like, what does it mean? Okay, maybe I don't eat meat, but which other choices can actually be doing? The second layer is the confidence layer. They want to know that the choices they make sense. And for that, they need data. There's not really a lot of data beyond the obvious one, right? You know the impact of meat, but what about the rest? And the last one is the fear layer. And in this example, the fear layer would be, okay, is this just a good marketing campaign that is actually a good greenwashing, or actually does it make sense to be switching from cow milk to oat milk? So once you have your decision portrait and you're clear with what's really driving them, then we can just go and try to craft the messaging. And I just put here an example for you. Just, it could have been this or something else to try to illustrate the point. So for the messaging, the way to hook them would have been to claim it straight away that this is not cow milk. And actually, because of the dairy industry, you cannot call milk something that is not from the cow. So it's an oat drink, and we just wanted to clear that up before the milk industry does this for us. Then, moving them. So how do we make sure that we build this confidence layer for them? And the way to do that is actually by writing the number on the pack. So they write their CO2 number on the pack, and they go with radical transparency. So the messaging could be, we put our CO2 number on the pack, not because we had to, but because we wanted to empower you and you to be informed. And lastly, the last layer, win them. how do you close them? We know that trust is a big thing to ask. So we are not asking you to trust us. We are just asking you to read the label, to read the number, and to draw your own conclusion. Yeah? Makes sense? Makes sense, Marion. Okay, so I want to leave you with one thing. One key takeaway is that when you really understand your audience, then you are able to win where it matters. And winning where it matters for us, digital marketers, would mean that on your homepage, your value proposition is super clear when they land in the first 5 seconds. It will mean that the CTR of your campaign are going to go up because all of a sudden you have a messaging that is actually resonating. It's not like a sea of sameness. And lastly, it means that your conversion rate is also going up on your website because you have made it very clear for them what is convincing and that this product is actually the right choice for them. So as a key takeaway, as a conclusion, it's not a messaging impact, it's really a business impact. And if you make sure that you fix your messaging, you will get very, very positive benefits on your business side. If this is interesting for you and you want to try on Monday, which I really invite you to do, we have a more detailed step-by-step on the website that you can download with really the framework, the tool, so you can really literally go and follow and make sure that you do that on Monday morning. And I will be at the clinic afterwards if you want to come and find me. Thank you so much.